Greetings. Namaste, my brothers and sisters. This is a discussion of perseverance and grace. If what I say resonates with you, great. If not, then let it fall away. My goal is to be of service to the whole, and I'm sharing my perspective in hopes that this discussion resonates with you and can be applied to your life. Let's talk about perseverance and grace. Here is a picture of my Gene Keys profile. You can get a free profile at genekeys.com. Look on the right. My evolution, what I'm here to learn, is Gene Key 9. Gene Key 9 has the shadow of inertia, the gift of determination, and the city or special power of invincibility. The Gene Keys write about my evolution as the following. It is one thing to find your enthusiasm, and it is another to maintain that enthusiasm and let it drive you in a single direction. If you are not careful, you could become an eternal seeker of the new without any central focus to draw all of your skills together. This central focus within you must be practical, and it must offer you a feeling of inner and outer stability. Maintaining balance between diversifying and keeping a focus is likely to be the greatest single issue in your life. If you become too rigid, you will lose your enthusiasm. If you do focus, you will lack real power. Your evolution will constantly remind you to address any imbalance in this regard, so you need to see this tendency as your ally rather than your curse. Once you have really found your inner focus, you will probably never lose it again. Inertia was my shadow. It was my fear of the unknown, afraid to step out into the world to be authentic. I was reluctant to do anything new. I had a paralysis of will. This inertia blockage formed a huge blockage in my solar plexus chakra. In order to break free of inertia, I had to apply the gift of determination. In 2009 to 2010, I decided to be brave and prepare distant attunements for the world to receive. I had faith in the abilities of my higher self to support the process. This bravery then led me to start the City of Shambhala website in 2009 and write the book 45 Free Reiki Attunements in 2010. Through these acts of courage, I unblocked my solar plexus chakra, and this allowed my kundalini to rise to the heart chakra level. The Gene Keys, Embracing Your Higher Purpose by Richard Rudd, describes the process. When you break out of the lower frequency and connect with your vision or ideal as a feeling and a knowing deep inside, you have truly begun the journey of 1,000 steps. Every single step you take from that moment on, which means all acts, no matter how inconsequential they may seem, lead in the direction of that core vision. As you continue in the direction of your heart, you begin to carve for yourself a powerful groove that becomes easier and easier to follow and is what the world knows as determination. This changes the whole shape of your life as you finally will begin to feel the inner strength that comes from following your life purpose. As I discussed in the video Divine Will, my life purpose is to resolve to do God's will. I feel it is my purpose to lift others up with spiritual energies and assist with helping others become healers to heal the world. Also, my purpose is to assist others to follow the path of service to others with its love and wisdom, and to accelerate the ascension of humanity, to be love in alignment with divine will. That is my inner focus, and everything I do revolves around that purpose. This includes publishing books, ebooks, creating attunement events, creating healing sessions, creating these videos of wisdom, etc. The Gene Keys book states that the secret of determination is momentum. All those little acts with the heart begin to build up an internal momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. The force of the entire universe begins to gather behind such a person. To be determined has not been easy for me, as I have gone through much suffering to continue the path, which is for the greater good, as a test of my faith in God's will. With this suffering, every step has made me stronger internally. My name is Christopher, which means the Christ bearer, and my purpose is to bear the light of the Christ and share it with the world. Jesus talks about the road to heaven being the narrow way. The narrow way means there is some suffering and sacrifice along the path, but it shows faith in God's will. As I mentioned to another, I believe I have had enough suffering for 2 lifetimes. In 2001, I was in the military. In 2001 to 2006, I had many near-death misses with car accidents, and only by the power of my guardian angels was I protected from harm. This was the beginning of a humbling process. In 2004, I wanted a house and a master's degree, but I did not have the resources for it. In 2006, I had to leave the military due to being involved with an ex-wife with severe mental illness, and the relationship had much physical abuse and suffering. In 2006, I also lost a job with good income. In 2008 or so, I found out my ex-girlfriend from the period 1998 to 2000 passed away in a car accident. I prayed that she was cleansed and lifted up to the heavenly realms. In 2010, my book 45 Free Reiki Attunements was published, and the book sales and website members grew exponentially. In 2012, my immediate family left me. In 2014, I was divorced and without my child, who was in another country with the ex-wife. But I was determined. I still kept contact with my child and paid required child support. But there were many positives along the way. In 2015, I finished my master's degree as a result of setting my intention in 2004. In 2019, I was married again to a beautiful wife who I set an intention for back in 2001. In 2021, we bought our first house. Again, I set my intention for this in 2004. Now I am blessed to have a garden in the backyard, which I tend to in order to create beauty for everyone. Back in 2010, I did not understand the law of free will and prayed for guidance to understand it. In 2022, I was taught the lesson of the law of free will. In 2022, I had to pull the books 45 Free Reiki Attunements, The Living Light, Manifest Divinity Through Reiki, due to an unintentional free will violation, which I discussed in the video Divine Will. Also, I pulled a series of books called The Ascension Rays because I found out that chi balls were not authorized by the Lightarian Institute as a method for providing attunements. The City of Shambhala members dwindled during the time from 2014 to 2021, but then I resolved not to give up. Free will is God expressing God. It allows us to make our choices for service to others or service to self. A respect of free will within loving, healthy boundaries is respect of God. After being taught the lesson of free will, I again found strength in 2022. I published The Path of Oneness in over 20 different attunement ebooks. I added instructions for how to pause attunements when the recipient was not ready, to align with the law of free will. I renewed the City of Shambhala trademark and made the website more mobile friendly. Now the City of Shambhala members are growing again. My book sales are growing again as well. I feel I am very blessed by God's grace, and I have much eternal gratitude to God for the trials of suffering I endured, for these trials made me stronger. My life has been a roller coaster, but every step strengthens me to do God's will. Doing God's will is my purpose, and the suffering was due to the unwinding of karma of past lives that were full of anger and jealousy and selfishness, which then led to my purpose of doing God's will, to be loved in alignment with free will, and to share Christ's light with the world, which is my dharma. This suffering I endured has cleansed me in my spirit. I've been working 2 jobs 6 days a week to make ends meet, but know that if I am given opportunities to serve, I will serve. I am currently looking for opportunities to serve. I use my awareness, and in that awareness, I seek out opportunities to serve. Because through awareness, you can see the opportunities to serve, and then you serve. So I know that suffering is only temporary. We are spiritual beings having a temporary human experience. From a higher perspective, I resonate with the Bible passage from Mark chapter 12, verses 41 through 44. Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins, worth only a few cents. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all of the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on." That is how I feel about my generosity. Even though I am in the midst of suffering, I will give all that I can to lift the world up. This shows my faith in God's divine plan. This is the narrow way that Jesus discussed. The I Ching says hexagram 9, the taming power of the small, is to surrender to the way. I live moment to moment and create actions in sync with the focus of my purpose, to be love in alignment with free will, and to lift the world up in love and light. Despite being financially restrained at this time, I give of my time freely as a volunteer healer for the Distant Healing Network and also with the production of these videos and books. These are natural to me. This excites me as I love being generous in whatever way I can. This leads to the special power or city of invincibility. The Gene Keys book states that invincibility is to dissolve into the will of the universe, and it is a city that has been deified in many different cultures. In Christianity, for example, the Archangel Michael holds the archetype of invincibility. The Gene Keys book states that the only force that is truly invincible is love. Love knows only giving, so it creates a vacuum which in turn continually floods with more love. Such people become the focal point for an intense frequency of divine light, with a very specialized task to fulfill on earth. The I Ching calls this the taming power of the small. It is like a laser that spotlights those aspects of the shadow nature that you most fear in order to cleanse humanity. The ninth city teaches us that every act you make is of vast importance to the whole of evolution. It is my perspective that my specific niche purpose is to help awaken the 144,000 to assist humanity with a greater purpose of healing and ascension. Notice that invincibility on my Gene Keys profile is a breakthrough path to grace, which is Gene Key 22. Grace has the shadow of dishonor, the gift of graciousness, and the city or special power of grace. When I was younger in my teenage years, I did not understand the power of words. I was mean to others, I was selfish, and I dishonored another through mean words. Through the power of awakening, I learned from suffering as a natural, humbling process to move from selfishness into graciousness. Now I work hard to look through another's eyes. I take the perspective of another into account, as we are all slices of the same divine truth, facets of the same divine gem. There's always something to learn from another. Now I work hard to be love in alignment with free will. Through intense forgiveness of self and others, and through intense perseverance through suffering, I was blessed in 2009 with an amazing experience of bliss and oneness, a massive opening of the heart chakra, and a connection with the Buddhic plane. In 2022, God's grace continued to bless me with a soul transfiguration, an overlighting of the Christ light, a connection with Christ consciousness, a further oneness with all of creation and connection to the atmic plane. Through faith in God's will, absolute faith in God and our higher self, and doing good works on earth, we follow the narrow way. It is called the narrow way because it is in the times of suffering that we apply our determination to be love, to be gracious in the midst of the storm, that we grow the greatest towards source, and we are blessed with God's grace. Everything I do is God's will, and only through the power of source and God's grace are all things possible. and all my gratitude goes to Source. I'm only the instrument. Let me know about your experiences with perseverance and grace in the comment box below. Have you been tested with perseverance in your life? Have you been blessed with God's grace? It is an honor to serve you by sharing this love and wisdom. With deepest gratitude to all of you, my equal brothers and sisters. We are all on equal paths to the Creator. Shine on in your life's experiences. Radiate. Be the love you want to see in the world. From my heart to yours, God bless you all. Namaste.